walking through my hall in Biscuit throughout this last coming week, I've heard a few things from my fellow students. Things they're saying like, why did they turn the heat back on? It's already so hot in here. And I can't focus with all this heat in this room. I'm sweating. Also, to point out, I walked in to one of my friends in the bathroom this morning. He was drenched in sweat. And I did ask him, what happened? He goes, it's so hot in my room. I woke up and I was completely drenched in sweat. Last night was the worst night of my life, and I don't know what else to do. The problem here at the College of Worcester is we have no way of adequately ventilating our rooms from all the heat. First, I will explain to you what the problem is and why our rooms are bad for... First, I will explain to you the problem of having inadequate ventilation. Next, I will explain to you the solution that I have for this problem. And lastly, I will explain to you what you can do to help. What is the problem? Most students at the College of Worcester here have no air conditioning or no real way of cooling themselves. We all resort to using fans or towels or rags to fan yourself, which I can say I've sat in front of my fan many, many times just to keep cool in the last few days. But what exactly do I mean? Let me explain. Without having air conditioning, it's very hard to keep ourselves cool. And it is a common occurrence throughout all of our dorms on campus. Not only does this make our rooms unbearably hot and humid and uncomfortable to be in, it provides a situation that could cause problems like health problems for students, academic problems, and even just problems in general dorm living. Is this a big deal? Well, in an interview with Brian Maddock, who is a freshman here at the college, he describes a situation to me where he was walking back from class in the wintertime. And he goes on to say he's all bundled up in clothes because it's obviously freezing outside. But he walks back up into his room, opens his door, and is blasted by a heat wave because his room has been cooking throughout the day. He then goes on to say that he had to strip down all of his clothes to his boxers just so he can try to get cool. But that didn't even work. He then had to open his door to allow some of the air to flow from his window outside his door. But with his door open, he actually felt that he was losing some privacy by having his door open because he was in his boxers. So he ended up just closing the door and sweating it out. And well, now that not only does the moving air affect life in general for living in a dorm, it can also affect the academic performance of students as well. In an interview with Chase Copeland, who is a freshman here at the college as well, he described to me a time that he was sitting in his room mid-afternoon and just doing some homework. He had been working vigorously to study for this test that he had for the next day. He then goes on to say that he began to feel sleepy and didn't know why. All of a sudden, he doesn't remember anything, wakes up, and it's 6:30. He then realizes that he fell asleep doing his homework just because the air in his room was extremely warm. He also goes on to say, and I quote, "The air feels like blankets, and it was impossible not to go to sleep." And lastly, the lack of moving air can have a very, very high health risk towards students here at the College of Worcester. In an interview with Morgan Hughes, who is a sufferer of asthma and is also on the swim team, which, as Adriana pointed out in her speech before, has a very bad issue of ventilation. She goes on to say that she had to buy a device that filters mold out of the air that's in her room just so she can breathe. She also goes on to say that at the beginning of the school year, when she didn't have this device, she would wake up in the middle of the night and couldn't breathe. This is just plainly unacceptable to subject our students here at the College of Worcester to conditions like this. And besides, we're living in it for all 4 years, we deserve that. Why should you care? Well, we all live in dorms. 99% of the students here at the College of Worcester live in dorms. It's something that we have to deal with on a daily basis. The solution. Now I know what you all may be thinking. The solution that everybody wants is so all of our dorms have air conditioning. Sadly, this is an almost impossible task. These giant air conditioning units cost thousands and thousands of dollars to purchase and thousands of dollars to install, which, as we know, the college doesn't have a lot of money, and when they do take on projects, it is only when they have the money. The solution I'm proposing is a much more simple solution. It would be install a door vent, as the ones you can see here, which are around $141 into each door. Also, these door vents can be made aesthetically pleasing so that they don't affect the way all the doors look. How will this help? Well, this will help because this will help circulate air throughout the room. How? Well, the current situation that we have in our rooms is you have a window. You open the window to let air in. The air stays in the room, circles about, but has nowhere to go. And nowhere to go fast, so you have no moving air, which also creates a lot of dust. This will fix the problem because it will allow air to be circulated through the window, in throughout your room, and out the door vent, or vice versa, thus allowing a cool, comfortable, and healthier environment for our students. How do I know this will work? Well, although throughout my research I was not able to find any specific instances at other universities throughout the country where door vents had been implemented for this type of situation, but I had noticed they're seen a lot throughout campus, mainly on bathroom storage closets and even on the door to this classroom. These are put here because mainly to circulate the air throughout the room. If you have a room that has no moving air, it's going to be hot, humid, and uncomfortable to be in. But, for example, here, in this room, we have air conditioning, but the air conditioning has nowhere to go, so it has to go out of the room so the new air can be replaced. You may be asking, well, why not just go study in the library? We have a library here. Well, there's some people who like to study in their rooms, like me. I find it a very easier place for me to study and not get distracted by some of the talk that goes on in the library, which I know Gwen in her speech duly pointed that out. And also, why not just open the door and let the air flow into your room? Well, as Brian stated in his speech, and as I've noticed a few times as well, opening your door allows people the freedom to just come in and say hi. And I may be studying for a test, and I don't want that. So having the door closed lets everybody in basically to your life. And when you're trying to study, it doesn't help. What does the future hold? I want us to all imagine now a dorm room that is cool and comfortable. You're sitting in there, you're not sweating, you can do your homework, and you're not falling asleep. This is what these door vents will help to maintain. And we can look forward to also having a healthier environment for all of us to live in and be comfortable. So how can you? So, I've gone over the effects of having more ventilation in our room. I've given a simple and cost-effective solution to this problem, and I've given you a glimpse into the future of dorm living and what we can look forward to. But now, what can you do to help? I have a petition that I will be passing around after my speech that I will be giving to Krista Krumstein, who is the director of Res Life here at the College of Worcester. We don't want our students to suffer because of our rooms. So let's try to make this change happen, and let's help them meet the need. Questions? Go ahead.
How will your plan affect keeping rooms warm during the winter, like circulation-wise?
Well, like for me in my room, for example, we left our window open all year round just because our room was so hot. I don't know how it is in other dorms. I know some dorms do get hot at times. It just allows the air to freely move through like the room as well, and then having all that, all the warm air is like pushed out, and then just having the fresh circulation will help. It'll keep the rooms warm, but because you can also just close the window and it'll stay warm as well.
Well, I guess my question, I don't think I explained it quite right. I had a lot of problem keeping my room warm this winter. That it was really badly sealed around the window. I had to seal it myself, actually. So if we had door vents, would it make it colder for those ones that don't have really good insulation? You might not know this because it's kind of outside your room.
Her question was, will the door vents make the rooms colder? I don't know if it'll make it colder,
Okay.
I think it'll just help move the air throughout the room. I really don't know if it would make it colder or not.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, Kelsey.
Would the air vents affect noise level? Like, would it let in more noise? Because I know, like, the doors in the morning are pretty good at shutting down.
There may be a little increase in noise just because you're having a little open space for like sound to travel into, but I don't think it's not like you'll have a giant gaping hole in your door where you just have air flowing and people can like stick their head in. But there may be a small increase in noise, but I don't think it would be greatly affected or changed from the way it is now.
What about privacy? Wouldn't you have less privacy if you had these holes in your door?
You may have less privacy, as Kelsey also asked me a question. Sorry, Dr. Wick asked a question about would you lose privacy in having these door locks? Some element of privacy would be lost, but not compared to the privacy that you lost keeping your door wide open. Because there's been a few times where I've just been in my room in a t-shirt and shorts, and I've had to open the door, and random people I don't know just walk in and like say hi to me. I don't know you. Sorry. But some element of privacy would be lost, but it wouldn't be greatly affected to the door. All right.
Okay.